You are about to hear the world's only podcast hosted by a Brooklyn-based, songwriting, Jesus-loving couple. I'm Melinda May.
I'm Trevor Knight, and this is Stronger Voices.
Each episode is simply one of our personal conversations recorded and shared with you in hopes you'll be encouraged.
We're glad to have you with us today, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Stronger Voices. Well, welcome, folks, to this episode of Stronger Voices. We're happy to have you with us today, and we have a special episode today, a deep dive into Melinda May's With My Makeup On.
Yay, I'm so excited to do this.
Me too.
So, last podcast episode was really great. We did a deep dive on your song, I Deserve Better.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought we would do this little series where we deep dive into our songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do With My Makeup On because recently it's just gotten a lot of attention and a huge bump. And I'm so thankful.
It's really exciting.
Yeah. And so I know later on in the podcast we can get into the specifics of that because it really is a good little story on its own. And I think maybe a lot of people could relate to it. But that's why I wanted to talk about this. And I also wanted to talk about this song and tell the story because this song actually took 3 years to write and so many hands were on it. And it's just been through a lot. And I think it's a cool story. So I wanted to tell you.
Okay, so take us back. Start at the beginning.
The first time that I remember this song starting, and sometimes you don't remember when you first write songs because it seems like such an insignificant event. I get an idea for a song probably every day. Just a little like, oh, I got a lyric idea. I better write this down.
Sure.
But I bet it was sometime during the years that I was working at a fancy restaurant because I just remember realizing and I remember thinking that I don't really care about fancy things like this. And the lyrics of the song are, take me anywhere I can wear. Well, actually, the chorus lyrics of the song are this.
Take me anywhere I can wear a plain black tee, beat up chucks and holes in my sleeve. But you like me better with my makeup on. With my makeup on.
So every time I talk about what this song is about, I say something a little different each time. Because every time I perform the song, I introduce it and I tell the audience what the song is about. But since it's a metaphor, and since it took 3 years for the lyrics to come together fully, it's about a lot of different things and it's about a lot of deep things. I think that I started writing this song right around the time I was working in a fancy restaurant. Maybe I was watching people go on dates to this fancy restaurant and kind of thinking, I don't really like fancy things. It started there and I had this idea and I loved it. And I brought it to my band. My band had a rehearsal August 9th of 2017.
So you were in the habit of performing live often at this time?
Definitely. And my band was new at this time, maybe a couple months old. And I brought them this little hook. And it actually went like this. Take me anywhere I can wear a plain black tee, beat up chucks, holes in my sleeve. But you just can't get into those old John Mayer songs. And it was kind of slow. And it was meant to be kind of this kitschy thing that maybe only super John Mayer fans would be into, and I thought it would be kind of cool. I still think that idea is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. The message being, you don't really know me in an intimate way.
Yes. And it was also, you know that song we both like that goes, I was on the late shift listening to Tay Swift?
Yep.
It's like a nod to Taylor Swift.
It's a nod to a different artist.
And everybody likes it because everyone listens.
Everyone's listened to a Taylor Swift song at some point in their life.
Exactly.
And everyone's listened to a John Mayer song at some point in their life.
Exactly. And there's a huge group of people who, if you gave them a song that said like, oh, those old John Mayer songs, they'd be like, yes, those old John Mayer albums are incredible. So I bring this idea to my band, and it's funny because my drummer and my guitar player are not as direct as my bass player. So I could tell my drummer and my guitar player weren't excited about it, but my bass player was the one that goes, that lyric doesn't work. Yeah, he said, you got to change that. Okay.
Which is interesting, because even if someone was co-writing a song with you, that's very direct.
He's very direct, but he's very smart. He went to Berkeley. He's a full-time musician. He's great to work with. And at one point, the band and I even asked him to be musical director because he had so many ideas. And my guitar player and my drummer also had a lot of ideas and good ideas. So anyway, so now I take the song to my band, August 9th, 2017, which is, by the way, not a song. It's just those lines. It's a hook, nothing else. They really like it. I love it because I think this is me. This is a message that I'm going to believe in. This is great. But I'm like, okay, they don't like this John Mayer line. I need another line. So I'm breaking my head over what this line should be. I tried a million things. Finally, I get this idea. I bring it to my band. They like it. So as a band, now we're trying to figure out what the feel of the song should be. How do we make it come alive as a band?
All right, ready?
Now, during this time, that bass player that I just mentioned, who I loved working with and who was my music director,
David White.
Yes. He got an incredible gig to go on tour with a Broadway show because, as I said, he's a professional bass player. So he was gone for like 8 months on tour. So we needed a new bass player. So there was this guitar player that I had worked with in church named David Cooper. For the sake of this conversation, we'll call him Cooper since they're both named David. Doesn't play bass at all, but great on the guitar and awesome to work with and just fit right in with my band and I, and it just seemed so right. So I said, Cooper, you're an incredible guitar player. I know you don't play bass, but why don't you give it a shot and play bass in my band? The instruments are similar. I bet you can do it. It's pop music. You don't need to do all of these incredible fancy jazzy things.
Right.
I need a solid bass player.
This is such an interesting way to approach this problem. You know, this is such a Melinda May-ism to me. It just sticks out like, well, he's not a bass player, but I like him around, and I think he could be a good influence on the band. Let's make him a bass player instead of let's just find a bass player and have him fill this hole. I like it.
Exactly, because the intangibles are so important to me. I tend to think that if the intangibles are right, things will work out. So now we bring Cooper into the band. We've been hammering away at this song as a band, trying to figure it out.
Okay, so we're starting with the first two. Alright, yeah, let's figure out this ending again. So we're doing quiet bridge, down chorus,
Up chorus.
big chorus, and then you end on makeup on the tag. Again, together on
This song came to life. This song came alive. This song started to become what it is now from the time that David Cooper invented the bass line for it. Because all of a sudden, it was a dance song. Listen to the bass line in the song. It goes like this.
It's a lot more rhythmic and jumpy and noticeable than a normal pop bass line would be. You know, a lot like if you listen to jazz, there's bass lines like this. But a lot of pop bass lines, they just hit the one. They just hit the one or the four or whatever the tonic of the chord is instead of drive the cadence of the song. And that's what this bass line does.
Exactly. But since David Cooper thinks like a guitar player, he brought this like funky, cool bass line to the song.
That drives the song, which is what guitar players normally do.
Exactly. So then we all started to get excited. Now I need a first verse because I have no other lyrics at this point. That took so long to get that first verse together.
I don't care that you're tall or that you can have whoever you think you want. Taking selfies at the bar, all talking about watches and things that you bought on other continents, and I don't don't have a hard time having a good time. It doesn't mean you know me at all. I don't have a hard time having a good time, but it doesn't mean that you know my heart. My heart is taking me.
So I hammer that like crazy. The next challenge was we knew we wanted a little alternate chorus, and for the life of us could not figure that out.
So something to make the chorus longer without just repeating the same lyrics.
Exactly.
In the front seat.
For me, what would make me be so excited about finishing this is if you had another short, half chorus like that you liked as much as those lyrics and was as good as those lyrics are.
Mm-hmm.
That would complete it.
Yeah.
So
think it could even
I get a voice memo from Brandon. I don't even think there's text with it, and it's these lyrics right here.
Take me anywhere, I can just speak my mind, be unsure at times, in most places I'm fine.
But you take me places that I don't belong with my
So those lyrics, take me anywhere, I can just speak my mind. If I'm unsure at times, most places I'm fine. But you take me places I don't belong. As soon as I heard that, I knew that was it. And that part was written by Brandon Batson.
I can tell it was written by Brandon Batson. It just sounds like him.
Yeah.
Knowing him as a man.
Yeah, definitely. And it fits so perfectly, and so was what I wanted to say, because those lyrics as well are, the whole song is like, I just want to be a person and do what I do. I don't want to have to be this thing for you, this object for you to admire. I'm a person that wants to be truly loved and understood. Okay, so now we start performing the song as a band, and it is so fun. And that sounds like this.
You, I'll be dressed to the nines, got my kaleidoscope of moods. Listen. If you really knew me, you'd know I don't really belong with you. Oh no, if you really knew me, you'd know I don't really belong with you. Take me anywhere, I can wear a plain black tee.
And the crowd claps along, and it is just, I don't play guitar for this song, so I have my guitar on the stand and I'm just dancing on stage, and it's so fun. But I still don't have a second verse. And at this point, every time the second verse comes around, I'm just repeating the first verse.
Which isn't a terrible idea. Some songs do that.
It worked for a while. It did. And yeah, but I always knew deep down, I'm like, that's not it.
Yeah.
You know how that is with your own art.
Sure.
You know when it's right.
You put in placeholder things and then you stick with them, and you still know that at some point you want to change it, and then you don't, and it kind of, every time you sing it, you think about it a little bit. That's happened to me.
Oh, absolutely. So that's exactly what was happening. Every time I sang this, I knew, I'm like, I need a second verse. So I would work on it, and nothing was coming to me. And again, the problem was this song was so precious to me that people already knew it and loved it. And so I needed the right second verse.
Sure.
This was way past, I'm just writing down lyrics in my room and seeing what's going to stick. People already loved this song, and so did I. And so there was a lot of pressure. Okay, so me and my band work out this song over the course of a year with different people. We finally get a structure that makes sense. Now, okay, it's time to record it.
And when was that? How long did all of that take from idea to when you decided to record it?
So now we're in the recording studio in 2000, the very end of 2018.
Okay, got it. So, a year and a half.
Right. And we've been performing it. I still don't have a second verse. So we take it to the studio in Brooklyn with a producer who is a good friend of mine in my band, and he's great. My band recorded, everyone recorded their parts. That was really cool to have all my band members on the record. And the producer moves to LA. So I thought, How much would it be to get us all out to LA? How much would it be if I just went out to LA to finish this song? I tried to work with another producer in Brooklyn, and by using what we had already recorded with the original producer, he ended up not being available. He actually ended up working with Lady Gaga, which is incredible. But I couldn't get this song to come together, and I felt so stuck. I couldn't get traction. I couldn't get it off the ground. So that was the end of 2018. January of 2019, I fly to LA. I meet with a different producer who I happen to share this song with. He likes it. He edits it a little bit and mixes with it a little bit. And I thought, okay, maybe this can be an option. But again, nothing stuck. So I'm praying about this because remember, I believe in this song so much. And I'm praying about this and I don't know where to go. The day that I thought to myself, maybe I should go to the producer that I worked with before I ever had a band, who has produced all of my songs, who I've been working with for almost 10 years. Maybe I should bring this song to him. So I'm praying about this, and that day or the next day, I'm not sure which one, that producer, Tim Husty, texts me. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. So I'm like, dude, you've been on my mind. Call me right now. So I think we talked on the phone like right then.
Wow. And you told him what was going on.
I told him what was going on. I'm like, I want to record these songs with you. And I want to record this song with you. And he was like, yes, I want to do this too. So I was thanking God. That was great. So now I send Tim some ideas. Hey, let's make it sound like this. Let's make it sound like that. I in a way start from scratch. I took the structure that my band and I was doing. I kept the guitar parts that Brandon had played. I kept the bass part that Dave Cooper made up, and that it should be known, Dave Cooper came up with that bass line, but David White was the one who played it on the record because he came back from tour by the time we were recording. And by that time, David Cooper ended up being a lead guitarist in another band.
I actually know that band. I saw them perform once at the same open mic as me.
Really?
Really Small World, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I went to this open mic and I saw this band play, and then I looked them up on social media and I saw Dave Cooper in the photo of the band. And then, yeah, it was really funny.
It's such a small world. And
it really is.
New York City musicians, everybody kind of knows of each other. You run into each other at some point. Especially if you're working the open mic thing. It's cool how that happens.
There's a really good, supportive indie musician scene for sure.
Yeah. It's where my first friends in New York City came from, and they're still my friends to this day. But anyway, basically Tim and I just started from, okay, what do we want this song to sound like? We weren't trying to make it sound like what it sounded live. We were really open with it. Let's just make this a good song. We add some things to it. It's coming along. And I remember going into the studio and my ride's coming in 30 minutes. I still don't have a second verse. So I got to finish this right now because I'm about to record vocals. I'm praying over this. And remember, I've been trying to write a second verse for a long time. So finally, literally last minute, it comes together. And it sounds like this.
I'll dance in neon shades with you. Go up in flames, come back down new. What can I say to explain who I am to you?
Isn't that funny how that happens?
Yes.
Like right at the last minute when you need it to happen.
Yes. And so now we're in the end of 2019. I had some studio date on the books and I'm like, Tim, I can't make it to the studio this date. Can you still go to the studio and finish up this song? I trust you. Whatever you choose to do, I know you get it. I know you get me. Whatever you do, I know it's going to be right. So I will never forget this. For some reason, I don't remember why, but I was on a bus going from Virginia Beach to New York City. And it was one of those buses that leaves at midnight and arrives in New York at 8 a.m.
It's my favorite. time to travel. Midnight to 8 a.m.
That's
It's really-
sarcasm, folks.
It's
if you
really
can't tell.
enjoyable.
It is very
Straight through the
difficult
night on a bus.
to take an 8-hour bus ride in the middle of the night.
No, you will not catch me doing that.
There's no sleeping to be had. And I remember checking in with Tim at like 1 a.m. and saying, hey, how are things going at the studio? It's the last thing I remember. I kind of am asleep and awake because you can't really sleep on a bus. It's 5 a.m. and I get a text that says, Melinda, you better win a Grammy for this song. And I said, please don't tell me you're still there. And he said, I'm just leaving. Something like that.
Quick backstory, like sometimes the studio can be a place where time is elastic, and in general, ideas take a long time to flush out, and you want to try a lot of different things. So a lot of times studio sessions don't start till 11 a.m. or noon, but there's not really an end time that's set for them, sometime around midnight. So you work straight through the night a lot of the time. So it's not totally abnormal to be there late, but not usually that late.
Tim Husty and I have been working together for 10 years. And Joe Loftus as well, who's the engineer and he owns the studio. The three of us are there until 2 a.m, 3 a.m. That's typical for us. And for Tim, especially because Tim works in many other different projects, including his own. And for him, that's typical, but it's still 5 a.m, which is, I think, the latest.
Yeah, I used to get up before that, you know? It's really late.
Did you, when you were working in finance, did you get up before 5 a.m.?
Sure.
What time did you get up?
When I first started working, I didn't know how to do anything, so I was really slow at a lot of computer functions, so I would get up like 4:15.
4:15?
By the end, I was waking up, a little before 6.
Yeah.
But still early.
4:15. You got up in the middle of the night to work in finance.
For a time when I
Wow.
started out, yeah.
Okay, that we should do a whole other podcast on Trevor's experience in finance. I always ask you questions about it. I think it's so fascinating.
You're like the only person who finds it interesting. Maybe not
That's
the only
not
person.
true. You just don't share. Anyway, everyone finds that interesting. Like former Wall Street person, now singer-songwriter. Okay, anyway. So back to makeup. So Joe, the engineer, who's also there until 5 a.m, emails me the song at 5 a.m. and the subject line is Grammy award-winning song Makeup.
That's so fun.
Yeah. And I listened to it and I was blown away. Everything Tim added was so good. It was so right. It was the song. And Tim and I talked about it later over text and we both felt like this song is so good. And we were so happy with how it turned out. And I'll play a little bit of what I mean when I'm talking about like production flares here and there, like little things. Like listen to this on my vocal right here.
To explain myself.
Little things like that. So the lyric Electric Blue, there's a little robot that sings with me, this little high-pitched robot.
Nights I'm feeling electric blue. Make myself
Songs
up. I'll tear it
have
up.
these little details that really characterize the song, that really make it unique and bring it to life and make it like candy, like it's sweet, like to your ear. It's interesting, like you want to play it again.
Even beyond the little nuggets that you hear every now and then in the song, the overall production of the song was really well orchestrated in it, and there were some really good decisions made. I love how it starts right on the verse with that delayed electric guitar note.
Only got one thing that I really
I love how
That was Tim.
the kick drum gets kind of swallowed and in the back on the breakdown, but you can still hear it.
Anywhere I can wear a plain black tee, beat up chucks.
I love the echo of With My Makeup On that happens in the choruses. How did that happen?
I really wanted to make those like big robot sounding things like echo me. I just thought that would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
So the way
and it is.
Thanks. The way that we did it was we pitched the song up and then sang the song in the wrong key. Me and Tim, like actually recorded. That's me and Tim's voices you're hearing there.
With my makeup on, with my makeup.
We recorded it a couple keys up, and then the engineer, Joe Loftus, pitched it down to be the right key, so you hear our voices kind of affected there.
With my makeup on.
I love that.
Good. Yeah, I like that too. It's funny because that's another thing that, we didn't do that live, obviously. That wasn't a part of like the live
Something
band
that was
performance.
born while it was being recorded.
Exactly. So then my song was alive and I was so excited about it, and Tim really believed in it and I really believed in it, and I was so excited. And
But all you had right now was a sound file, right?
yes,
So there's a couple more things you need before
true.
you distribute this song and send it to everyone you know and say, listen to this. And
That's right.
so what was next?
Right around this time, you and I started hanging out. We started to become friends. And
Summer of 2019.
that's right. I remember we had a photo shoot booked to promote our show together, our Rockwood show. And it's funny because the night before, myself and my two roommates, Madison Harvey and Taylor Pace, threw this giant house party. We had over 20 people in here. We were up until 3 a.m. You were here. You and a few other people were here super late playing games and stuff. You left at like 3 a.m.
Yep, this is true.
Yeah. And the next day I had to work brunch at 8 a.m. So I show up to brunch. By the way, so that I will never forget that morning. But anyway, I was so happy because it was just such a great party and I was just really happy.
It was fun.
It was so good. So I show up to brunch at 8 a.m. I zombie through this shift. I've got makeup on from the night before. I go home, and right when I get home, you're about to come over because we have this photo shoot scheduled with my other roommate, Madison Harvey. So Madison sits me down in my living room and she's like, okay, I'm just going to take a few test shots just to see the lighting. And that cover art that you see is one of those test shots. So
You weren't trying to pose for a photo.
No, not at all. It literally was like, okay, stand still. Wait. Let me just click. Like that, like nothing. And I saw it and I thought, oh man, it's too bad the light is over my face in that weird way. Otherwise it'd be a really good photo. And Madison, my roommate, goes, no, this is it. This is the photo for this song. So then she took it, she edited it, she made that purple hue come out of it, and she just made it look great. And I really, I wanted to stick with the theme of having no text on my cover and just having a regular photo. And so that was it. So now I have my cover art, I have my song. I'm so excited to share this with the world at this point.
So one more thing, which I just remembered, which I forgot about till literally this moment, is right about this time, you had a dilemma on what to call the song.
Oh my gosh. Literally, Trevor, every step of this song was difficult. Every step of this song.
You have this sound file that you love, and you have a photo that you love, and now you don't know what to title the song.
Yes. Well, I guess that's not true. The cover art was actually really easy. Okay, but yeah, I don't know what to call it. And I asked everybody who I knew in the music industry, who was anybody who would have an educated opinion. I asked people who were just music fans, music lovers. I asked you, and I wanted to call it You Like Me Better, because I thought that title, With My Makeup On, was too cute. Thought it was too cute, and I wanted it to be a little more
edgy.
Yeah, I wanted it to have a little bit of an edge. And it was overwhelming that the title of the song should be With My Makeup On. And so
from the people you asked.
From the people I asked. And I this is one of those moments where sometimes, because I still thought that it should be called You Like Me Better. That was my opinion. I think it should be called that. But I kind of knew that it was more marketable and more memorable to call it With My Makeup On. And
I think so too. And even beyond marketability, I think it was the right choice. I think it's the right title for the song.
Yeah, it's more memorable. It makes sense. And so now I know what to call it. And there was even more titles too, but those were the two main ones. But anyway.
So now you have a thing that
Yeah.
it's all the aspects of it are in the shape that you want.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm so excited, and I submit it. I'm like, okay, it's going to come out Black Friday and November 28th, 2019. So it comes out, it gets a lot of streams the first 3 or 4 days it's out.
Which is
Typical.
typical. You see a bump right when it comes out. Sure.
Yep. And then nothing.
Crickets.
Okay. Interesting. And I'd like watch really closely, and there was a little bump somewhere. It caught on maybe, I forget when this was. I think in February it got a little bump, and I'm like, okay, people are starting to listen. Crickets. March, April, May. I'm watching all my streams because on Spotify you can see. But this is only on Spotify. And Trevor, days of 0 listens, 0 listens, 0 listens. 1 listen, 4 listens, 0 listens, 2 listens, 0 listens. That's what the days look like. Nobody's listening to this song. Okay, so now it's June. And I pay someone to pitch this song to playlist curators, which is a service musicians can do. You pay a couple $100, and this platform will pitch your songs to people who have playlists that have a lot of followers. It gets pitched to 19 playlists. Out of those 19 playlists, all the curators gave me feedback, and 3 of them put makeup on their playlist. So I got a bump, a little bit, you know? And then after that campaign was over, and after that song left those playlists, crickets. But this time it was like 12 a day, 10 a day, 14 a day, 9 a day, but still not catching on. Sometime in late July, With My Makeup On gets added to a playlist. And
some individual Spotify user.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, cool. Then it gets added to another one, and then another one. And the streams went up so fast that I actually emailed Spotify. And I said, hey, something's wrong. Because I've been watching this song every day for months. Spotify emails me back and basically says nothing's wrong, because if there were something wrong, we'd catch it. And we're very good at watching for these things, and nothing's wrong.
I remember when that happened, you were a little anxious about what was going on.
I was really anxious.
You thought someone was hacking your Spotify or
yes,
doing something illegitimate.
Absolutely. I thought something's not right here. How can this song be getting so much attention so quickly? So then it got on more playlists and more playlists and more streams and more listeners. And then it reached 10,000 streams really quickly after that. And then after it hit those 10,000, it wasn't very long, and then it was at 20,000.
It took like 2 weeks to get, so it took you many months to get to 10,000 streams.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that, today it passed 25,000 streams.
Yeah. And
which is amazing.
It is. And I'm so, so thankful. And every day it's added to, and I'm not looking on what's happening on Apple Music. I guess I should. And I'm not looking at what's happening on YouTube, but this is just Spotify data. But every day it gets added to more playlists. And I'm so excited about it. People are listening to it. And I'm just so thankful because, like I said, there were so many days in Minnesota in quarantine this spring where there were 0 listens, 0 listens, 0 listens. And something just happened. And now it just caught on out of nowhere. And so that's where it is now. And I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it too. It's amazing to see. And I know exactly what that's like and exactly how that feels, you know, to see a song that you really believe in get no attention. And it's, you know, it takes patience with these things sometimes. And yeah, it's cool to see that that song is starting to gain traction. You know, it's getting 1,000 streams a day, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's just so neat. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this song today. I thought it'd be interesting. Maybe if anybody is a fan of the song, or if you haven't heard the song, definitely check it out. Anywhere that you can hear music, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon, YouTube. If you search Melinda May with my makeup on, you will find it. So
Give it a listen. It's a great song. I love it.
thank you.
I'm a big Melinda May fan. I don't know if you knew that. I'm actually, for the viewers at home, I'm currently wearing my Melinda May merchandise. It's a Melinda May t-shirt. I ripped the sleeves off of it, so now it's a sleeveless shirt. But
It looks really good.
yeah, I'm a huge Melinda May fan, and I'm so excited to see what happens in the coming months when you release a lot of new stuff.
Thank you. That's so exciting. I love that you're a fan.
I really am.
Good. Well, thank you for talking with me about
Of
this.
course. I love hearing, the stories behind songs, and I think you told it really well.
Okay, good. Are there any questions that you had for me?
I think you pretty much addressed most of them along the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I really love this song, and I'm excited to see, what it continues to do and how the listeners of this song react to the new material that you're coming out with in the next few months. So yeah, give With My Makeup On by Melinda May a listen on whatever platform you choose. And thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and yeah, listen to my song and thank you so much.
We'll see you next time.
Most places I'm fine. Take me anywhere. I can wear a plain black tee. I got beat up checks. I got holes in my sleeve. But you like me better. You like me better.
If you liked this episode, send it to someone you love. Also, follow us on Instagram at Stronger Voices Podcast.
You can email us at contact@strongervoicespodcast.com. We appreciate you spending your time with us today, and we'll see you for the next episode.